Good morning, everyone. Well, don't know if it's good morning where you are. It certainly is here. Anyway, it's nice and sunny and bright here as I'm recording this. So anyway, I hope that you're all well and doing fine and enjoying yourselves. Anyway, so I'm back again with a new video for you. And this time we're delving back into the Groundhopper Diaries that I started a few weeks ago. When I told you about my mate's trip to Germany for the 1988 European Championships. And today in this series, what we're going to be doing, I'm going to start looking at some of the grounds that I visited while I was growing up and watching football. And the grounds that we're going to be going to today are Aldershot, Barnet, Blackpool, Brighton and Hove Albion, and Burnley. So yeah, that should be interesting. It's quite some interesting stories to tell there. Particular look out for the one of the trip where I went to Brighton and Burnley. They're both really, really good stories. Anyway, I hope that you enjoy those. And before I get started, just please remember to click on the like button of the video. If you haven't subscribed already, please make sure you do that. It all really, really helps. And make sure that you pass it around to anyone who you think might be interested in seeing it. That would be really, really helpful. So yeah, I hope that you enjoy the video and that you find it interesting. And please remember to tell me about any experiences you've had of going to any of these grounds. So I'll be really interested to find out what happened to you when you went to some of these places. Anyway, that's enough for me waffling on. But yeah, like I say, please hope that you enjoy the video. And without further ado, let's get on with it. Okay, everyone. So here we go. And the Warren's Team Talk bus it's been dusted down again and we're back on it, and this time we're taking a trip down memory lane in it, and we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it's 5 different football grounds today to find out about what happened when I went to these places and find out about some of the adventures I had. And believe you me, there were some adventures to be had. That's for sure. Anyway, so let's get on the bus, and the first stop today is going to be the Aldershot. So here we are, we're at Aldershot's racecourse ground, and we went there on the 14th of August for a league match, I think it was. 14th of August, what am I talking about? 14th of April 1980, and we went there to watch Maidstone United, who were a football league club in those days, and Aldershot. Both of them no longer believe in the football league. We went there to watch this 4th division league game, which was the 4th tier of English football at that stage. And we saw Maidstone win quite comfortably by 2-0. And then we also went on the 8th of December 1990 for a FA Cup tie, and that was quite an entertaining game as well. But unfortunately for the Stones, they lost that game by 2-1. So yeah, as you can see there's like a big terrace in the picture there. That's where all the Maidstone fans were shepherding into when we arrived. So hold on just a second, and then we can get started. Yeah, so on the 14th of April 1990, my mate Mick and I, we travelled down to Aldershot for a league game, like I say, which we Maidstone comfortably won by 2-0. But that doesn't begin to tell the story of the day's events by any stretch of the imagination. The day was marred, as far as I was concerned, by some of the most aggressive and ridiculous policing I've ever seen at a game of football. It was just completely and utterly over the top. To put some context on this, Maidstone United had an incredible record in terms of the behaviour of its supporters whilst they were in the Football League. I don't think that Maidstone, except for this game, ever had one supporter arrested. This day, however, was a day of madness of the highest order on the part of the local constabulary. We arrived at Aldershot's recreation ground and we found that we were to be allocated a rather sizable covered terraced area behind one of the goals, which you can see there in the picture. And because of this, it meant that we were able to create quite a lot of noise because the covered terrace sort of amplified the noise we were making, the singing and so forth. So that went down rather well with all the travelling supporters from Maidstone. But unbeknownst to we as well, apparently we had some seats in one of the stands, which was good. And I don't know how many Maidstone supporters were at the game. I'd say maybe 300 or 400, but on average, Maidstone would take like 200-300 supporters to away games, unless it was a very local one. And when I saw this, I thought, when I saw the layout of the ground and where we've been situated, I thought, yeah, this is going to be a good day, and we should be able to have a lot of fun today and make plenty of noise and really get behind the team and so on and so forth. And it should be like go down as one of my favourite grounds to visit. However, I have to say, this opinion of mine would quickly change given the way that the Aldershot police conducted themselves. Now, I'm not really one to go in on the police. I think they've got a really difficult job, and I certainly want to do it. But having said that, I think a lot of the time they don't do themselves any favours, and they could make their job easier. Certainly with situations like we found ourselves in here. Now, even before the game started, two Maidstone United fans were arrested for nothing more than singing, and the singing was in no way, shape, or form aggressive, offensive, or provocative. Then, when another supporter asked why the police on duty were behaving in this way, he was told, "Listen, we have to arrest 16 people to justify our being here today." And surprise, surprise, guess how many supporters were arrested at the end of the game? Yeah, you guessed it, 16. Another supporter who was the most inoffensive person that you could hope to meet and was a true maverick. He used to go to games home and away with an old style rattle, even had his rattle confiscated. I mean, what do they think? What did they think this chap was going to do with a rattle? Honestly, it was absolutely ridiculous. And he would, like I say, he was there week in, week out, all over the place. And many supporters would tell us about his antics, and he wouldn't have hurt a flea, honestly. And he was just an amazing character. He would come out with the most ridiculous songs. He made up a song about the referee. What was the song about the referee? He's got a book and a flag, and he's called the referee. Referee, referee. Honestly, he was off his head, absolutely mad, but everyone loved him, and he was a fantastic character. Now, after the day's events, I did write to the Aldershot police about their behaviour on the day, to complain about the way they had conducted themselves and so forth, and the way they policed the match. And then one afternoon, while I was watching the Italian 90 World Cup, I received a telephone call from an officer who was employed by the Aldershot Constabulary to discuss my letter. He told me numerous things which, looking back on it, I find it very difficult to believe that these things would have happened. I believe the highlights of this were that a few years before, there had been serious disorder involving Wolverhampton Wanderers when they visited Aldershot, and a police officer lost an eye after he was attacked by a fan brandishing a rattle. And then after this, apparently Aldershot decided to ban rattles, and I was also told that several Maidstone United supporters have been in the town most of the day leading up to kick-off, and they had been drinking heavily. One supporter had been arrested because he claimed that he had got into the ground without paying, and it's also alleged that another supporter was heavily intoxicated and was behaving in an aggressive and threatening manner in a family enclosure, and was arrested as a last resort after he had been warned on several accounts about his behaviour by the police and some of his friends. Now, to this day, like I said, I still find it difficult to believe that any of what this man had said was true. Now, I know a few years before that there had been a riot involving Wolverhampton Wanderers and Aldershot fans, but this had happened at Molineux, not at Aldershot. Also, I don't ever remember it being an offence to be drinking heavily or to be intoxicated. And I certainly don't remember stories of Maidstone United fans behaving in a threatening or aggressive manner, especially around families. In fact, I know for a fact that Maidstone United supporters were regularly commended for their behaviour. And what was interesting for me was that just 8 months later, Mick and I returned to Aldershot for an FA Cup second round clash with Aldershot, which Aldershot won by 2-1. And curiously, on this occasion, the match wasn't overshadowed by overzealous policing. That, or as our previous visit had been. So, yeah, all in all, it's a bit weird, really, that whole situation. And I don't really understand why they felt the need to behave like that. You know, it's not like it's not like Maidstone United had a track record of going to places, smashing up places, terrorising local people, having a terrible reputation for causing trouble and having violent supporters. It's just not the case. Now, anyway, I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions about that one. But yeah, I was not impressed by the Aldershot police at all. So the next one I want to talk to you is about Barnet. Now, Barnet, I've been there a few times to watch football. I've been there to see Arsenal playing a friendly. I've been there to see Barnet play league games, and I went there to see a derby match between Barnet and Maidstone United. But the two games that I want to talk to you about were the two that I want to talk to you about. The first one was on Wednesday, the 3rd of May, 1989, when Maidstone United went to Barnet. And I think for that game, they had the chance to win the football conference, the non-league conference that night. And this would grant them promotion to the Football League for the first time in their history. they didn't, unfortunately, they didn't manage to do that, as they lost the game 2-1 to their great rivals. Because up until that season, Barnet and Maidstone United had a great rivalry in non-league football. They would always be fighting it out for non-league football's top honours. And so I think it went down rather well with the Barnet fans that they stopped Maidstone United getting promoted to the Football League. Now, however, later that season, Maidstone United did actually win promotion to the Football League, but they did it whilst they weren't even playing. What happened was that another team, I think it was Kettering, had to win a game in order to continue on the battle for the Conference League title, and they lost. And the day that, ironically enough, it happened on the day that Maidstone United were playing at Gillingham's Priestfield Stadium in the Kent Senior Cup final. And as a consequence of Kettering losing this game, Maidstone won the conference, and then that meant that they won promotion to the Football League. Another notable visit of mine to Barnet happened in the early to middle 2000s, and I think it possibly happened at the end of the 2000-2001 season. I can't really remember who Barnet were playing that day, but I do remember that they were struggling at the bottom end of the fourth division table, or League 2 table, or whatever it was. Anyway, bottom of the fourth tier of English football. And I'm pretty sure that the game they were playing that day, they won by 2-0. And I'm pretty sure that the game was near to the end of the season. Now, the reason I remember this game in particular was because a guy who I knew was a football player from Spain, and he had played for Valencia's reserves and had made memories of training and playing with Giasca Mendieta when he was at Valencia. And he wanted to see if he could find himself a club to play football for in England. And he said to me that he felt very confident in his ability, and he felt he should try to get a game for a club playing in the fourth tier of English football, because he thought he could do well at that level. Anyway, my mate was a typical stereotypical Spanish football player. He was a diminutive type player. He was about 5'10", 5'11", and he was quite slight. He wasn't skinny or weak or anything like that, which some people seem to think Spanish players are. But he certainly wasn't that. But he was quite, compared with some English players, he would have been deemed as being quite small, I think. And because I knew that most of the teams in the fourth tier of English football who have players who are huge and like got a large, big physical presence about them, and that most teams had players who had fitted this profile, and especially in the defence, I thought it would be a good idea for him to come and watch a game of football at that level. So we decided to go to watch Barnet in one of their games, just so that he could see what he would be letting himself in for. And then we decided to try and contact a few clubs as well to sound them out, to try and gauge the potential interest in them, seeing if he could go and play for them or not. And we, like I say, we ended up going to this game at Barnet. and we went up and we watched the game, and my mate seemed a bit shocked by what he had seen. And he said to me afterwards that he felt he could play at this level, but he would need to do some bodybuilding work and strength building work. Otherwise, he felt he could end up getting seriously injured very easily. Now, at the end of the game, we decided to see if we could speak to someone from the club. And so we walked across the pitch and we managed to speak to one of the coaching staff and one of the substitutes about my mate. And they said that they were really kind and helpful. And the summary of what they told us was best thing that he could do was to make sure that he was playing regularly for a club so that they could come and watch him playing. And they said that given the career that he'd had in Spain, they felt that he would have no problem getting a club in England, and they would be quite interested, but they needed to be able to see him playing. So we left, and I remember my mate and I thinking it was a very positive conversation. And we also had a very positive conversation as well with Leighton Orient, chief scout at the time. And he also gave us some useful advice, and he told us he was extremely keen to see my mate playing. And he was very interested in the prospect of him coming to play for Orient. Now, about 3 or 4 weeks after this trip to Barnet, my mate told me that he had decided to shelve his ideas for playing in English football because he didn't think that he would cope with the physical side of the game in England. So yeah, that was so that was the end of that. But I completely understand why he said that, and obviously I respected his decision. I supported him with it, and so that was that really. So that was my trips to Barnet. Now, the next visit, the next ground, we get back on the Warren's Team Talk bus. Now we've got a long trip up to Blackpool now. And my mate Mick and I, we made a long trip up to Blackpool. We went up there with a load of other Maidstone United supporters with the official Maidstone United travel, which was, I don't know, was it West Bus or Borough Line coaches or something like that, but it weren't great. I know that's sure, but obviously a club at that level is not going to have the most top level executive coaches to transport its supporters around in. Anyway, so we went up there for a game on the 29th of February 1992 when we saw Blackpool playing Maidstone United in a game that ended in a 1-1 draw. And I remember, I think this game we played in this, we had this awful, like purple, dark purple and light purple tie-dye kit. I think the shirts were like dark purple with like tie-dye stuff on them. And then there was like sky blue. Yeah, that was it. It was dark purple shirts with like tie-dye like patterns on them. And the away short, and then the shorts were like sort of sky blue, and the socks were sky blue as well. So yeah, like I say, there's a couple of coaches of Maidstone United fans who travelled up to this game, to Bloomfield Road, which obviously the home was the famous Stanley Matthews. Now, to be honest, I don't really remember that much. I don't have that much memory of the game. I know that the game ended in a 1-1 draw, but that is about all I remember of it. But I do remember when we arrived in Blackpool, oh my God. We wandered around Blackpool to see what adventures we could have because we got there quite early. And I remember one of the guys went to Blackpool's club shop and bought a range of Blackpool merch, which he always did. Every game he went, every match we went to, he went off and bought a load of merch from the opposition. So he probably now, I would imagine, has like huge range of merchandise from all these different clubs that he went to, which would probably be quite impressive to see, to be honest. And I think I'm right in saying that it included hats, scarves, pin badges, etc. Anyway, I also remember that we stopped off at a traditional fish and chip shop, and there was a lot of excitement regarding the range of different options available, particularly those that were not available in fish and chip shops in Kent. I remember one particular fan, who shall remain nameless, took great delight in showing off his deep fried black pudding and chips. There was also adventures to be had on the beach and in the amusement park. All in all, it was a great day out with much fun had by all. And the result of the match was a minor issue, to be quite honest. So no, it was great. I absolutely loved that trip. And going to Blackpool to watch a game of football, I don't think you can get much better than that, to be quite honest. It was for a day out anyway. So yeah, it was great. And this was obviously in the days before Blackpool had all the trouble with their owners, which thankfully they've now managed to get rid of. So yeah, that was great. And then we're off again, and this time we're going right down the other end of the country, and we're off to Brighton and Hove Albion's Goldstone ground. Now, I've been to this place on numerous occasions, another one I've been to quite a lot. And like I said, I've been there quite a few times down the years, but I've been there on 3 separate occasions in particular that I'm going to talk to you about. The first one was on the 30th January 1988, when I went to watch Arsenal play Brighton and Hove Albion in the 4th round of the FA Cup. To be honest, this is another game I can't really remember too much about, except that it was a really, I think I'm right in saying it was a very scattery affair, and the ground was packed to the rafters. And I remember the Brighton fans seemed very excited and optimistic about their chances. I remember them being very loud and vociferous in the support of their team, and so they should be, especially for an FA Cup tie. However, Arsenal dug in and fought well for their 2-1 victory, and I remember being really proud of the team's performance. And also that day, I think Perry Groves and Kevin Richardson were the goal scorers for Arsenal. So yeah, that was a great victory and a great performance from Arsenal, because they really had to scrap hard for that one. Now, the second occasion was on the 9th of August 1991, when Brighton and Hove Albion played Steaua Bucharest in a pre-season friendly at the Goldstone ground. Now, this game, honestly, I went to this game with Mick. We drove to the game in Mick's car, and because of some horrendous traffic issues en route to the game, I think we nearly missed the kickoff. The game itself was one of the most maddest games of football I think that I've ever seen. What happened was that Brighton went 4-0 up before half time. Now, and the team that Steaua Bucharest got out, I don't know where they got them from. I don't know whether they just picked out a load of fellas from a pub somewhere or other around the corner from the ground, but they were awful, absolutely dreadful. And then Brighton were just picking them off with ease, and they should have had more than 4, to be honest. But in the second half, Steaua Bucharest made 11 changes, and I think that was the team that played in the second half was the proper side. They brought the game back to 4-4 before Brighton grabbed a winner in the last few minutes of the game. So they ended up winning the game by 5-4. It was an amazing experience, and one that I doubt I'll ever forget. And it was a game of complete and utter madness. Honestly, it was just ridiculous. 4-0 down half time. They bring on another, completely change the starting 11 for the start of the second half. They bring the game back to 4-4 and then lose it in the dying seconds of the game, 5-4. You couldn't make it up. It'd be even, I think it'd be even deemed to be too fanciful for edition of Roy the Rovers, to be quite honest. Now, the next occasion that I went there came on the 8th of February 1997 for Brighton's home game with Hartlepool United in the Football League Third Division. And this was for the Fans United demonstration. And this game attracted thousands of football fans from all sorts of denominations, from all over Europe. And we all wanted to show our solidarity to the Brighton supporters who were having serious issues with their club's owners and the way that they seemed to be mismanaging the club and taking it to almost to the point of extinction. And I have to say, it was one of my proudest moments as a football fan. I remember Danny Baker got wind of the Fans United event, and he announced it live on the air, whilst thousands of fans were listening. And I remember going to the game and seeing fans from all over the UK and Europe. And I remember bumping into a group of lads from up north, but I can't remember what club they were from. But I remember us having a good chat with them, that's for sure. And they were very interested in stories about Maidstone United, because I went to that game wearing a Maidstone United shirt. And we got to the ground and there were thousands and thousands of fans waiting to get inside the ground. And then suddenly, and without warning, the Brighton and Hove Albion officials just opened up the gates, the turnstiles, and just let everyone who was waiting in. When we got inside the ground, it was complete mayhem, and all of us gave it to the Brighton and Hove Albion owners all through the match. And weirdly enough, I think we inspired the Brighton players as they won the game by 5-0. So yeah, it was an incredible day, and one that I was and I am still incredibly proud to be a part of. It was an incredible day that showed that football fans can be brought together to fight and for the game, and just like they did recently with this Super League nonsense, you know. So yeah, fair play. And I think that we helped save Brighton and Hove Albion that day. I really do, because if that hadn't have happened, I'm pretty sure the club would have gone out of business and it would have gone out of the league, obviously. So the next ground we're going to in the Warren's Teak Talk bus is we're going back up north again, and we're going to Burnley this time. We're going to go and visit Turf Moor, and I'm going to talk to you about an occasion where I went to Turf Moor. And that was horrendous. That happened on Tuesday, the 23rd of October, 1990. We travelled north to watch Burnley play Maidstone United at Turf Moor, and we travelled up to the game again with the Maidstone United away travel, which was, as always, was a couple of coaches, but not luxury coaches by any stretch of the imagination. The club had organised for there to be a number of pickups points, and ours was near the junction of the M2 and the M25, I believe. We finally got going just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which really, when you think about it, should have been more than enough time to get to Burnley. But this was my first mistake of the day. Anyway, everything seemed to be going well until we got just before Birmingham, and then we ran into a massive traffic jam, and this was just before 5 p.m. rush hour time, and it took us ages to get past all this traffic chaos, and we finally arrived at Turf Moor just before the end of the first half, and so I was really pissed off at this point. Then when we got to the turnstiles, I could hear a lot of raised voices, and I was thinking, what the hell is going on? And when I got to the turnstile, I found out what the problem was. Basically, the Burnley officials wanted to charge us full price to enter the ground, despite the fact that we were only going to see one half football. And that for me was the final. That was for me was the final straw, and I just blew my top. I absolutely did. It wasn't even our fault. It wasn't like we'd been sat in the pub all day drinking and couldn't be bothered to get to the ground on time. No, we've been stuck in bloody traffic on a motorway, and now they were just adding, as far as I was concerned, they were just adding salt to the wound. And there was about, maximum 100 odd people. So it wouldn't have hurt them to charge us. And I wasn't even asking to get in the ground free. I was just saying, look, come on, lads, just charge us half price. Don't have to, why the hell should we pay full price? It's absolutely outrageous. But the Burnley officials weren't having it, and I just lost my plot with them. I thought it was disgusting. So I took it on myself to have it out with the Burnley officials, who could see nothing, and they couldn't see anything wrong with what they were doing. I was furious, and I was really shouting and losing the plot. Then one of the other Maidstone supporters pulled me away from the Burnley officials and managed to calm me down. When we got inside, the handful of Maidstone supporters who were there told us that the Burnley fans had been slaughtering them all through the first half. Apparently, there were lots of chants such as, "Did you all come in a taxi?" Anyway, Maidstone United lost the game by 2-1, and we finally got home about 3 o'clock in the morning. So all in all, it was a complete and utter disaster and an horrendous journey. But yeah, so that was Burnley, and I have to say that, to be fair to Burnley, since then I've had a lot of positive interactions with them. So my anger at them has dissipated for the most part, I think it'd be fair to say. And yeah, and I loved the ground as well. Turf Moor was a beautiful stadium, it really was. And another one with a beautiful covered terrace. I love covered terraces just because you can make a lot of noise and so on and so forth. So yeah, it was, that aspect of it was great. It was just the fact that they didn't seem very sympathetic about the fact that we'd had to travel all that way, and that we'd been held up in huge traffic jams and whatever. But anyway, there you go. Sadly, everyone, that's the end of the video for this week. I hope that you've enjoyed it and you found it interesting, and hope that if you went to some of these games that I'm talking about, or you visited the grounds that I'm talking about, it brought back some memories for you. It certainly sparked off a few memories in my mind when I was doing it. Anyway, that's for sure. But yeah, so I'd be really interested to hear any comments you've got about the video, and also any stories you might want to share about your visits to any of the grounds that I covered today. And certainly the trip to Aldershot, and where we endured the wrath of the local police, was something I won't really forget in a hurry, for all the wrong reasons, really. And Brighton, like I said, it was one of my proudest moments of being a football fan. And Burnley, I'm sorry, but I still think the way that we were treated when we got there was absolutely disgraceful. Anyway, yeah, so that's it, sadly, for this week. I'll be back again next Saturday with another video for you. Not sure what that's going to be yet, but I hope that it will be good for you and that you enjoy it. Please remember to like, share and subscribe my video. Please remember to like and share my video. And also please remember to subscribe to the channel. That'd be really, really helpful. Yeah, so please take care of yourselves. Remember, as I said, always, as I always say, remember to share some love and kindness around the world and look out for each other. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you the next time. Take care, everyone. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye for now. Bye.